welcome on board Sandeep Sabharwal on that note. Sandeep, hi, afternoon. Sandeep, just wanted to revisit your thoughts on FMCG because you were constructive on some of these plays, like a Dabur, for instance. Would you say deploy these kind of dips to perhaps add more positions?
Yeah, so if reasonable dips come, one should because the stock moved from 500 to straight 620, 630. So it's a 25% plus kind of move. In stocks, which normally don't move 25% so fast. So these are typically stocks where you would be looking at mid double digit or those kind of returns. Like these are not stocks which are going to give you 50, 100% kind of return. So you need to wait, buy at the right prices. Even now, the overall outlook for consumer stocks is constructive. And if monsoons pan out the way they are forecast to pan out, then I think they'll have further legs to go.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on the FMCG sector. But Kunal Bothra as well as C. Rudramurthy also with us on the show. Kunal, hi. Tell us, what's the market mood telling you right now? Is it worth buying perhaps, or just stay away because there's been nothing kind of move, very, very narrow today?
Yeah, if you look at the indices, it's range bound and nothing in terms of a trend. But I think the last 3 or 4 days, the action is more towards the market breadth, and you've seen so many sectors, fresh stocks making a breakout and then getting to a revival for themselves. So I think that's where a short-term trader could probably try to focus on today. For example, the sugar stocks have made a very strong comeback. Many of the chemical names, specialty chemical stocks are making a comeback. Stocks like Naveen Fluorine, for example, breaking past about the 200-day moving averages. In fact, there are many of the underperforming names from IT stocks, etc., which are also making a comeback, breaking past about the 200-day moving averages, respectively, for many of the stocks. So I believe that it's more stock specific in terms of the action. That's where one needs to concentrate on.
Okay, let me welcome on board CA Rudramurthy as well and get in a quick take from him. Rudra, hi, afternoon. What is it that you're making of this big spurt in the entire sugar pack? Any tradable opportunity? Balrampur Chini, I'm guessing.
Yeah, see, if one has to buy into sugar, yes, I would recommend Balrampur Chini as the top bet. And another stock which also looks good to me is EID Parry. So these are two strong stocks, fundamentally also good, and one can look at buying into Balrampur Chini. If I have to look at the levels on Balrampur Chini, yes, the stock has now given a rounding bottom breakout, which is at around 420. So having seen this breakout above 420, last 2-3 trading sessions, volume has also been on the positive side, supporting the price action. So yes, one can buy at current levels, look at targets of around 475 to 480 to come on Balrampur Chini, and one can have a stop loss below the support of around 420. And similarly, if I see EID Parry, this is another stock which looks very, very strong, and one can look at buying EID Parry at current levels and also on dips to 650 and look at targets closer to 900 to come on EID Parry.
Sandeep, what is your own view on the entire sugar pack, considering the government is mulling an MSP hike? But for those who perhaps exited when the government flip-flop sort of happened late last year, can they look at a fresh entry point, or do you think a major chunk of the rally is behind them?
No, I think I would be quite bullish on the sugar stocks, especially those which have a sugar plus ethanol story going for them. And there are other companies which also have a power story, but not to a very great extent. So main is sugar and ethanol. And the government statements post-elections and government formation have been extremely constructive from the ethanol side. And there's also a high probability that some exports of sugar will also be allowed as we as we go in and towards the next sugar season, which starts in October. And most people panicked and sold out and dumped these stocks post late last year when the policy flip flop happened. So these are very under-owned stocks also. So I think I would think that they are reasonably well placed. The moves till now have been very moderate relative to what the eventual moves can be.
For the time being, we have seen great moves on some of these sugar plays. Praj Industries, for instance, is up already 26% for the week. You also have Triveni Engineering 24% higher. Sri Renuka Sugars has surged almost 20%. But in terms of other big movers for the week, you have Suntech Realty, which is up almost 25%. 24% and Paytm too gaining almost 20%. Kunal, would you bet on these names further, Suntech as well as Paytm, or it's time now to take those profits off the table?
I think Suntech could be a good bet even at current levels. In fact, many of the real estate stocks today, for example, Godrej Properties, etc., they were making a fresh high for themselves, breaking past about 3,000 levels. DLF, I think last I remember, had seen the stock breaking past about 200 DMA, which means that the real estate plays making a comeback of sorts. Paytm could be a different case altogether because the stock, even at current levels of 420, 430, where it was trading in the morning, was still trading almost 8% to 10% below its 200 moving average. So which means that the long-term trends have not changed. Yes, the stock has seen a good rally from, I think, 360, 380 to now 420, 430 plus mark. But I believe that the structure is still into a negative note for Paytm. So I would probably wait out for the stock to break past about the 200 DMA confirmation and then take a trade there.
Okay, so not that excited about Paytm at the moment, but just taking stock of what else is happening in the market. And it was all about insurance as well at the start of the trading session when we got to know about that IRDAI's master circular which had come in. Negative news in terms of the profitability as the surrender value goes up. But perhaps the overhang is out and there's a bit of certainty. You know, Sandeep, this is a sector which has been plagued consistently by the regulatory overhangs and the changes that happen. Is it something that the investors should make a bet on purely because this sector is undervalued, or because of these regulatory overhangs, just stay away?
So it's not an undervalued sector for sure.
Okay.
So the other point is that the regulatory issues definitely affect the valuations. And this was supposed to be a sunrise sector where these companies were supposed to create huge wealth for the shareholders. However, I think the entire growth and profitability paradigm has not played out. I have been monitoring the insurance companies for several years now. They tend to disappoint more often than actually surprise positively. And that might not change. So I think whoever is taking a bet, it's more a trading kind of bet. Long term, I find it tough to buy into these stocks.
Okay, Sandeep, stay with us. Lots more to talk about. We're going to take a very quick break on that note. And as we do that, here's a programming note for all our viewers. ET Now is celebrating its 15th anniversary with a landmark event, the ET Now Leadership Dialogues. From a keynote address by RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das to a fire chat with Keki Mistry, Dinesh Kumar Khara, Ashish Kumar Chauhan, as well as Utpal Sheth and Manish Shakhani. It's going to be an event that you cannot miss. Back with closing trades right here in ET Now. We're holding out absolutely quiet, and that's really been the case for the market. Just very, very ranged off late. No different today either. Unilever, Taracom, Britannia, ICICI Bank, Axis, they are the ones weighing a little heavy on the indexes, along with ONGC and Bharti too. But on the other hand, Shriram, HDFC Life, Divi's, Titan, L&T, M&M, they continue to hold up quite smartly in trade as we speak. And even Bajaj Finance has made a decent move. So has HDFC Bank. A very, very steady ship, about 0.5% to 1% kind of moves almost on a daily basis is what that stock has seen. But Sandeep, now all eyes are on what the budget is going to entail. Do you think it's going to turn out to be much of a big trigger?
I don't think so because, the timing of the budget is such, Aisha, that it's coming July end. And as all of us know that after the date change of the budget, the next budget will be Jan end. So, or first Feb, I don't remember the exact date. So then the gap between these two budgets is going to be just 6 months. So my guess is that there won't be any significant change in this budget because as it is, so much time of the quarters would already have gone by. Making any changes, etc., would be disruptive. So I think it will be more about statements in this budget, is my guess, and any major action will happen next year.
Statements, big statements coming in actually from the defense minister, wherein he's talking about how they're looking at making India an important hub for export. The domestic defense manufacturing will be further strengthened and exports from India will be taken to an unprecedented high. That's the word coming in, and a lot of these stocks have moved in the last few minutes. So case in point being Garden Reach, Mazgaon Dog, Bharat Dynamics, all of these stocks are trading at the highest point of the trading session, and there's a big traction underway because some of these stocks had seen a bit of a sell-off as well. remember on day of that election verdict, most of these stocks were down anywhere between 20-25% thereabouts. And from there, there has been a steady recovery in some of these names. Even HL, for that matter, in the last few minutes has moved up. Data patterns as well. See, Rudramurthy, what's your view within the defense pack? Would you be a buyer in any of the names?
See, HAL for me looks the best out of the pack, both fundamentally and on charts also. So it is now just making that recovery back to those highs which it previously made at around 5,400 zone. And I feel this is a stock one has to have on portfolio. And even if you want to trade it in F&O, it's a stock which you can keep rolling over and continue holding long position in future. So at current market price, I will be a buyer in HAL. Any dips to levels closer to 4,800, 4,900, keep adding to your position. Look at initial targets of 5,400 to come, and once it crosses that level of 5,400, a fresh momentum will come and stock can further move up to levels closer to 6,000. So this is a stock one should definitely have in portfolio.
Okay, defense stocks definitely should be part of your portfolio. In the meantime, Sun TV definitely has seen a bit of profit taking for the last two trading sessions. Right, I think yesterday is when that Axis Capital upgrade came, and yesterday, of course, the stock was holding out well. But L&T has been quite the steady mover, Kunal. Now at 36.74 thereabouts, it's a good 2% move on the stock today.
Yeah, it's a good 2% move. It's a good 400 points move from the previous low. I think 32.50 was the low on the day of elections for L&T. The stock retested the 200 moving average, and this was the second retest of the 200 DMA for L&T. I think in the last 1 year approximately. So I think in that time span, the stock has not retested the long-term moving average, and I think that retest has happened for the stock. I think this could be a strong breakout for L&T in terms of the positional as well as the medium-term chart outlook. I would believe that steadily the stock should scale past about the 3,800 mark, which is the previous highs for the stock. What is also very interesting is the volume setup for L&T, which I believe is the important or the key for the stock in the near to medium term. And the volumes in the last 4-5 days of the steady up move for L&T has been on the higher side. So I think that's also another reason why the stock can continue to move up higher.
Sandeep, what are you liking within the entire infrastructure gamut? I know it's a large umbrella, and given the valuations or the pricing some of these stocks are at, it may not be the best time to buy. But what is it that's on your watch list, or what is it that you recommend buying right now?
Like you rightly said, buying something from this entire infra capital goods space looks tough at this stage. But I think from the stocks which we are holding, and we will continue to hold, are stocks like NCC, L&T, Ahluwalia Contracts, VA Tech, Webec, Raj Industries, among a few which immediately come to mind. So ABB and Siemens have done extraordinarily well. They have delivered extraordinary results over the last few quarters, and as such is reflected in the stock prices. So these two and Thermax, etc., I think they are very excessively valued. So so the outlook might be good, but then the valuations are very excessive here.
Point taken. So that's the view coming in on some of these industrials. The other stock I think which is reacting a bit is Delta Corp. There is some speculation because remember GST Council meeting is there on 22nd June. That part is confirmed, but the rest of it is read through with which the street always does. So perhaps they are anticipating some sort of discussion on online gambling. To put it across, there's no confirmed news around it, but we know as a matter of fact that on June 22nd there is a GST Council meeting for sure. But on Delta Corp specifically, Kunal, is there a view or a recommendation?
No, nothing as such. I think I've stopped tracking the stock since the time it had broken down below the 200 levels and remained at 170, 150 mark for quite some time. In fact, the stock recently made a low, I think if I'm not wrong, just about closer to 100 or 105 was the low for the stock. So no recommendations over here.
Okay, no recommendations, but off late some of these logistics stocks are also firing up. Let's pull up Aegis Logistics. Now, it's not purely a logistics company. Of course, it has those, containers and the terminals for the LNG, CNG bit, but you have Concor, which was reacting yesterday, and a couple of other names like Adani Ports, etc., continue to be in favor. Sandeep, is this a space, infrastructure and logistics, which you're looking at, whether warehousing, whether of course, some of these port players?
Not really. I haven't invested in any of them.
Okay, so not really looking at some of these other different sectors, but what are you sticking to? Are you sticking with those, private banking names and those auto stocks, or are there some new bets that you're also making right now?
I think in the infra capex themes, I already talked of autos, M&M, and Maruti. I continue to hold. So I think along with Tata Motors, it's a pick. Like all these stocks have done well actually. Uh, on telecom, Bharti continues to be a decent story for the long term. On consumer, we talked about Dabur, Tata Consumer, Godrej Consumer. I think these companies are doing well, but at what price you want to buy, you have to see. I think there's a whole plethora of opportunities out there. It all depends on the price at which you buy and what upside you see from those levels.
Sandeep, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is insurance stocks. I mean, of course, they've had such underperformance, which has lasted for, I think, almost 2 years now. But it seems that this entire news around surrender payouts, it is, of course, is going to impact profitability. But companies like HDFC Life have, given a statement that it's only going to be 100 bips kind of an impact, which they'll surely be able to absorb.
See, Aisha, that's the typical statement of management. When there's a negative development, they'll always say it won't impact us much. When there's a positive development, they'll say that it'll have a very good impact on our company. Now, as an investor, you have to decide yourself. How do you see that? In any case, it's been an underperforming sector where delivery has been muted. On top of that, if you get some further overhangs, it's very tough to see how the performance will come.
But Sandeep, on that note, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with us. But since we're talking about that,
if you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.